When we get up in the morning, along with coffee, toast, and cake. If you're like the old Stone Roadie, you like to wake and bake. Now let's join Craig, Reed, and Griff Martin as we head out on the road. So sit right back, buckle right in. It's a Wake and Bake Morning Show. It's a Wake and Bake Morning Show. It's a Wake and Bake Morning Show. Good morning.
Rise and shine, everybody. It's time to Wake and Bake with Craig Reed and Griff Martin.
The Stoned Roadie Show, podcast number 248. Wake and Bake, the Morning Buzz, episode 123. Action. Well, welcome to the Stoned Roadie podcast. Looky here. My name's Craig Reed, a.k.a., and with me, as almost always, my co-host and my co-pilot and the rocket scientist, Griff Martin. And here we are on November the 18th, 2024 there, Griff. And what the heck we got scheduled to talk about today and this morning?
Yeah, well, we have that Brian Bodkin, Jimmy Johnson interview that I'm going to play. I got that in the mail. I downloaded, edited, put a watermark on it, and it's ready to go for the end of this podcast. So you guys hang around for that. It's a never-before-seen interview with Jimmy Johnson. It's just a kind of a laid-back type thing. Wasn't a serious interview. It's just kind of like Jimmy talking about some really cool things. There's a lot of skin information, and I appreciate Brian sending that to me. And he's got some more stuff that he's going to be offloading to me that I can show. Brian's a real cool guy. He was the guy that was at Muscle Shoals when I went up to Muscle Shoals and got me in Muscle Shoals Sound and all those other studios there, and I got to meet a lot of cool people and see a lot of cool things when it was on the road with Griff Martin. And we got some other things, some questions and comments that we're going to talk about. Not a lot, because that video is about 35 minutes long, and so we don't want to do too much jibber jabber. Also, I got Bruce Fancher's book ready to go here. Bruce, got your book wrapped up, ready to go. I'll mail that later on today. He bought the book, the blue book, Gene Odom. Appreciate that. And
for $300.
Yeah, $300. That was a nice.
Yeah, we brought in quite a bit of money here in the last couple weeks.
Nita donated that $1,000.
And then Brian with the 300, and then Jim Banshee sent in that $100 last week, and I showed his business card, and I looked in the kitchen, and it was in the kitchen and chewed in half. The dogs got hold of it.
God.
I was going to show it again. It was torn in half, chewed in half. So yeah, the dogs liked your business card there.
Oh man.
Yeah, he's got the bike shop there in Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we got these comments and questions that we can go over. Then I'll do a little preliminary on the Muscle Shoals thing with Jimmy Johnson, just to let you know what they're going to talk about, kind of help you out, understand. At the beginning of that Jimmy Johnson interview, Brian had the camera set up. He was setting the camera up when Jimmy came in, and he didn't expect to catch him coming in like that. And he talked to him for a little while without him being on camera. You saw it, right, Craig?
Yeah, I sure did.
Yeah, and
It's just
then
like 34 minutes.
yeah, it's pretty interesting. He tells the whole story.
Yeah,
you know?
there was some things on there that I really wasn't clear on. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to go over that and see if I can't kind of help people understand a little bit more. I got some notes here.
I didn't realize how many songs Ricky Medlock played drums on that first and last record.
Yeah, that Skynyrd Complete. It's like 17.
He played drums on like 6 of the songs. They did like 11 songs, and Ricky played drums on 6 of them, and then Bob Burns finished it off too.
Yeah, and
then Ed went in there and
later on
put his parts on. Yeah, that thing. Yeah. Yeah, he said that was the best. He said that Ed was the best guitar player out of all of them.
Yeah, I'm going to send Sharon that video because she'll probably get a kick out of that. You know, maybe she can throw it in her book.
He really admired Ed's talent. He said that was really memorable going in there and working with him. And Ronnie said, just put him on every record, every song.
Yeah, which reminds
he did it
me
in a couple days. Yeah.
Right there, that's Muscle Shoals. And let me see, I'll move myself out of the way. I was asking Craig, I said, Craig, where are you in this picture? You know, I mean, you don't see Leon or Billy or Artimus in there. So we're thinking they were doing overdubbing work or something there.
Looks like their baseball team came in there for something, and the band were there, and they got a picture of them all. But it's just Gary and Alan and the girls. So they were must have been just doing overdubs on guitars and background vocals.
With Jimmy Johnson in the middle with that big trophy. Yeah. So that's pretty cool picture. And you said that you might have been there, or you were doing a gig somewhere.
I don't know. I don't remember. I didn't go everywhere they went, but I was usually there. Yeah, I don't see nobody else.
Yeah.
There, I don't see Dean or nobody was there.
But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff happened there in Muscle Shoals, and Brian is gonna hook me up with some interviews, and I'm gonna take another trip back there. That's why I'm wanting to raise some more money so I can get some on the road money set up so I can run up and do some more. Brian's gonna try to hook me up with Ron Eads, and I also know Ricky Wascom knows him real good. And also I'm working on, Phil Kaufman, the guy who burned Graham Parsons' body. I'm working on bringing him on the podcast. Don't hold me to it, but I've got a connection that they said that he might do that. So I have to call and talk to this person. But that guy, that's a crazy. He kind of reminds me of Gene a little bit. That Phil Kaufman guy. So he took Graham Parsons' body out to the desert and burned his body, and I'm hoping I can get him on here to talk about that. See, I mean, there's some stuff on the internet you can see, but you got any more donations you want to talk about, or anything you want to talk about, Craig, before we jump into these comments?
No, I just want to thank Ronnie Faulkner, the fight night the other night for streaming the fight on FakeBook. I don't have.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I watched it.
Yeah, that fight, I tell you what, man, I after I saw it, I was all hopped up and hyped up to see it. And then I saw it and I was like, that was a big old money grab is all that was, Man,
everybody's saying it was scripted, I mean, everybody's saying it was scripted.
But those girls weren't scripted.
No, those girls weren't scripted.
No, I couldn't even keep track of those. They were fighting, man, that you don't get a cut over your eye being scripted like that. No, that was a nasty cut.
But BlackRock and Vanguard, they own all the entertainment. They own the fight. Like Trump was at a fight the other night. That guy won and gave him his belt. I don't know what they call it. But all the beauty pageants, the boxing, the everything, all the big entertainment, anything that's big entertainment or anything that you bet on, football, all that stuff. It's all owned by BlackRock and Vanguard. You know, they own everything. They own all the food. They own the entertainment. They own the pharmacy. They own the education system. They own everything. I mean,
I'll tell you something pretty cool that's happening here where I live in Winter Haven starting January 1st. The city council has already voted to remove fluoride from the water. That's like
wow, yeah,
that's huge.
yeah.
I think we're the first city in the nation that's going to do that. How did that happen? Like right where I live, that's pretty cool. You know,
I saw somewhere where their General Mills, I think, is getting sued for all the poison they're putting in the cereal and their
good
what was it, Apple Jacks or something was selling for $1 a box, and you know, because they're going to sell it all out before the word gets out that all that stuff's poison, you know, before everybody figures it out. But yeah, it's on y'all people out there. That poison's on sale, so while that poison's on sale, you go get you some. Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of changes, and I hope Trump, we don't get some kind of a snag where he, they do something to keep him out. And I'm kind of smelling a rat, but
oh yeah, it's something.
And if there's anything you want to talk about, Craig, that you're worried about the monetization on, don't worry about it, because this video at the end has got music in it, and we're not going to get monetized on this anyway. So you do whatever you want, man. You don't have to be good.
Oh no. Did we go over that thing you were talking about, the world population? It would fit in New York City.
Yeah, I was wrong about the New York City. It was Alaska, wasn't it?
It was Alaska, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't even see how that's possible, man. They said everybody could have an acre of land. Everybody on the planet could have an acre of land in Alaska. I don't see how that's possible. There's a lot of
Who was it that I said that? Was that that was Elon Musk said that.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy. And all that stuff's still going down in North Carolina. It's bad down there, man.
Oh, really bad. Yes. And I'm still planning on going up there with I'm gonna have to get with Leslie and get her stuff together. And people are bringing me stuff. I'm gonna rent a van and go up there and drop it all off. But I had some construction at my house that's starting Tuesday that I have to be here for, and then after that I'll be ready to go.
Yeah, but they're hiding. There's something's going on up there because they're hiding a bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah, I think it's going to come out too, because I think the liberals are all the ones that's got, and and they also, if you had a Trump sign in your yard, you got passed by.
Oh yeah.
Not that they helped anybody anyway, but
the way the woman explained that was when you went into a neighborhood, if they encountered one person in that neighborhood that had a Trump sign in their yard that they had a problem with, they were ordered not to.
Like the Trump people are going to cause trouble.
Yeah.
That was how they got around it.
Yeah. We're not out here to encounter people, So if we went to one house that had a Trump sign on it and they gave us a hard time, we just avoided them because they were trouble. We're not out.
I don't think that's going to fly. But there's still people missing. There's
a lot of people missing. The death count is, locals there say it's 10,000 plus. And they're saying, 190 people or something like that.
Well, there was a lady who rode 30 miles down the river before she could get out. You imagine that? They saw her floating by beside her house, and then and then they picked her up. She was able to climb out after she went through excruciating rapids and things. And there's all kinds of stories now coming out for these people that survived and the ones that are missing.
Oh, yeah.
When I go up there, I'll take some video and talk to some people and do a little on the road with Griff Martin. Maybe I'll show you where my house is up there. And
Tom Garrett bought this camera here for $175. And this is the Model 2, the Osmo Pocket 2. And he just sent me another one like he sent me, and he sent Kathy Gozzi one of these too. It's the Pocket 3.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, you can see the screen goes sideways on that one. On this one it don't, but on this one it does. But like that's like the only real big difference in the thing, because it does live streaming. And this one comes with, this is like a package. It comes with a carrying case and a regular case for the camera and a bunch of the accessories. So this is an $800 package. You know, so this is he's also putting this up for a donation. So we want to get a little bit more money out of that one than we did this one for $175. This is a $400 one. And this is an $800 one.
Yeah, you guys go ahead and do your homework on these. And
yeah, it's DJI. Yeah, do your home. I'm not real proficient on it yet, and when I learn how to operate it, I'm gonna start doing some live streams on it and stuff. It's a really cool outfit. I've been taking pictures with it and stuff. It's and videos, and the sound on it's great. It's a really cool outfit. But yeah, he's putting this up for. Send us another one, the Omni 5.
Remember, Craig, we were trying to find a camera that would live stream instead of using a phone. And boom, there it is. You know, we were sending Otto around with that iPhone, and we couldn't.
Well, you have to do this through your phone. It doesn't have this. It doesn't have internet capacity, so you have to.
Right, but still, though, you'll have
phone. Yeah,
you'll have the landscape view instead of
it takes a great picture. It's got great video. It's got great sound. Yeah, I'm gonna start I'm gonna start doing a little bit of live streaming with it. Yeah, they're really cool. And
so we appreciate the people that are wanting to bid on it, and Robert Wheatley for donating it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and
we always have some cool stuff on here, though. You know, we got some pretty cool things.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all about the only thing I got down here. I take a few notes on some stuff that, you know, in case I go brain dead, which is
oh my God. I mean, people don't realize the notes that I take. You know, there's a page of notes. There's a page of notes. There's a page of notes. You know, they think Griff and Craig, we just get on here and just jibber jabber.
I didn't used to do notes, but I started to. After when I had to do those one solo, I had to start doing notes. So I said, well, this makes a little more sense, you know.
Well, it keeps you from being totally stupid, because, you know, our listeners are pretty smart, and they catch everything, man, and they'll straighten us out.
They do, yeah. Like, you know, people will ask me things, and I'm glad I don't sit here and make up stories, because I'll say, you know, I don't know, and then somebody out there will know. What was that last thing somebody? About the T-shirt. And I could have said, oh yeah, and I could have played on like I knew all about that and stuff. But I said, I really don't know. And then somebody knew, you know. So
which leads me into old Ronnie 5129. He asked about the girl that made the plaster penises, and he said sweet Connie, and I don't know if he was thinking that she's the one that did the penises, but I did a little investigation for you there, Ronnie, on because he acted like he was a little perturbed that Craig and I didn't know anything about it. So we have everything that you need to know about Cynthia, the plaster caster. Her real name was Cynthia Dorothy Albritton, and she died in 2022, which wasn't that long ago. She was 74 years old, and she was like Sweet Connie. She was a groupie, and she went around making plaster casts of musicians' penises, which I can show you one here for all you ladies. Here she is right here. Let me see if, here's one that she did of Jimi Hendrix. Let me move out of the way so you can see that. Yeah, that's a plaster. That's a replica of the plaster cast that she made of Jimi Hendrix penis right there. And let me see what we got here. There's another one that you can't really tell. I'll put all the pictures up so you guys can see, but this is basically for Craig. And there's another one of all the penises that she did. And here's another one. And, Craig, you and I ought to do a plaster cast of our penis and then put it on and bid. And have people bid on it and give the money to the survivors. I'll do it if you do it.
I've done a lot of things on my life. I think I'll pass on that one.
Yeah, well, I ain't gonna do it unless you do it. So,
no, I'll pass.
Yeah, so that's that's how that worked. And she the way they did it was, I guess the man got erect and then put it in the plaster, and then he had to go flaccid before he could get it out. So that'd be kind of like, if you didn't, you'd be getting stuck, like how a dog does.
That'd be a good idea. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good idea.
But what a great conversation piece, And
that you make a mold.
And
she must still have the mold. No, I guess you.
Well, she's dead now, but her collection somewhere. And Frank Zappa was in on it somehow. If you go and you look her up in Wikipedia, Cynthia the plaster caster, and read about it, old Frank Zappa was in on it somehow. I don't know how he got in on it, but and I don't really know who all. It says in Wikipedia who all she did, but I didn't write it down. But that's kind of a weird thing. I mean, at least she wasn't like Sweet Connie, who I don't know what it all involved with her making these casts, but she had to do something to get them erect. So who knows? But old Sweet Connie said that Huey Lewis had the biggest one that she ever saw. Said that it was massive. And she said the best lover was old Alex Van Halen. That was her most favorite lover. And I ain't gonna tell you who she said had the smallest penis. You guys figure that out.
Are you talking about Connie?
Yeah, this was Connie.
Oh, okay.
You had a run in with old Connie.
Yeah, a couple times. I was good friends with Connie.
Yeah. She was an Arkansas school teacher, wasn't she?
She was a school teacher. She was a temp teacher. She wasn't a full-time teacher. She was a temp teacher. But yeah, she did homework. She graded papers on the bus.
Oh God.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did. Graded homework papers on the bus.
Did they call her up and tell her, "Hey, we'll pick you up," or did she just show up?
Oh no, she just showed up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they said, "Come on with us, Connie," and then she jumped on the bus and away you went.
Well, she always just showed up to gigs. Yeah. 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 The last one she showed up at was with the tribute band, and yeah, Dale wasn't amused that she was back there and she was looking for him. I had her hid.
Oh God.
Yeah, I had her hid.
Well, maybe her and Cynthia the Plastercaster worked together. Maybe Sweet Connie was the fluffer.
She come over on the bus looking for her. I had her hidden on one of the other
Did
buses.
she know Dale was looking for
Or
her?
in the truck. Yeah, oh, I think I hit her in the truck. That's right. I hit her. I hit her in one of the trucks. She looked in all the crew buses. I hit her had her hit in the truck. I think I don't remember. I hit her somewhere, or maybe I hit her. I hit her with the opening band. That's who it was. I said, "Here's Sweet Connie," and put on. They were all freaked out. That's what happened. Yeah.
Oh
I remember
God.
now. It's an opening band. I goes, here, I gotta hide Sweet Connie out, and they were, she was a legend to them, so they were tickled pink to have her on the bus. Sweet Connie, hell yeah, man, yeah, she's a legend.
She was doing her act. She had the whole show, and it's a natural fact. Oh God. Oh, and then Craig, your ex commented. Did you see where your ex commented? Look,
Again?
He's got a worried look on his face. Look.
No, I don't give a shit.
She goes, you had that striped shirt on the last podcast, and she goes, Craig, you look like a jailbird in that shirt. You need to take it off. And then she says, you're looking quite old too.
Jail stripes go the other way.
She's watching you, man. She still loves you, man. She's still watching you. She can't. I mean, she might be cutting you down, but she's on there watching.
There's a reason that I look old, because I am old. But at least I'm still alive. All my friends are dead. So,
yeah, I mean,
I might look old, but at least I'm still alive.
It's good that you're still around to look old. I mean, I think you look pretty good for a guy who's, been around.
Been what I've been through, my God.
Oh God. I mean, look at you behind yourself back there when you were a
big fat guy. Yeah, that was 10 years ago.
Yeah, you were even just as happy as you could be then,
Yeah, I've been rode hard and put to bed wet. That's for damn sure.
And you're kind of in front of your other wife there, but okay. Autumn Honecker asked Craig, did Ronnie ever talk about his personal life? I've heard he was quite private.
Yeah, no, he never talked about, when we was out fishing, he never talked about anything about home life or nothing.
So he never said anything like, man, you can't believe what that damn Judy did yesterday.
No, never.
No, he didn't seem like that kind of guy.
No,
Kept his own business to himself.
No, he never did. Never talked about the kids or, nothing. Never talked about his home life.
Never, I mean, what kind of
stuff?
I
remember, he might have said something just off the cuff, but it was never in detailed stories or anything. Maybe it was probably stuff that was just off the top of his head, but it wasn't never.
When you guys were like fishing,
story.
did he talk about like stuff like? Did he even talk about music at all, or did he talk about anything else when he was fishing? Did it just kind of like getting the music off his mind and talking about other things other than music?
Mostly about times he'd gone fishing with Gene's brother Red, and just stuff about just old stories about what they used to do, and just about stuff when they was growing up.
He looked up to Red, Gene's brother, Red.
Yeah, he always was telling stories about Red Odom and all them guys on the west side. I guess they were all pretty rowdy, bunch of rowdy characters.
I got to talk to Red on the phone because we were going to get him
I
on
talked
the,
to him once too. Yeah.
Yeah, we were going to get him on the podcast, and then Gene said, "Don't get him on here. I don't want him on here." And I was like, I didn't want to piss Gene off, and so I never called Red back. But I don't think Red was a big fan of wanting to come on here anyway. And I remember talking to him. I was like, "What'd you think about Ronnie? Oh, that little son of a bitch. Oh, he ain't shit." He's like. He just thought of Ronnie as, I guess, some kind of like a little kid that tagged along all the time. But, he did love Ronnie though, and he loved what he did. He was proud of him. But he was quite a character to talk to, and I think that guy still dives. He still works as an underwater welder. That's
Red
crazy.
does?
Yeah, he's still doing it. I think he's almost 80.
Wow.
That's crazy, I know. So, there you go, Autumn. Honecker, you got a little bit more information that you asked for. And then KG says the FCC's Brandon Carr has just announced that big tech like YouTube are going to have to dismantle their censorship that the left created. And he's got a big long thing. If you guys want to read that, he's always got some good stuff in there. So go check that out in the comments if you want to see some more about that. And thanks there, Kent Griffith, for that. Patricia Lynn says, as much as I have heard about Joe Barnes, I have never seen him. He looks different than I imagined. His voice reminds me of Mr. Mackey on South Park, but he seems like a nice guy. Yeah, old Joe Barnes, man. That interview that I put up on the last podcast that I did at Whitey's.
Yeah.
He's about the only liberal I think I like. Because he is a big liberal, but he's got a pretty thick skin, and he's a really cool guy. He's just a fun guy to talk to, and he's kind of like a friend of the family, isn't he, Craig? Like him and Chad are big buddies.
Yeah.
What do you call him? Goosh?
Goosh.
Goosh? How did he get that nickname?
God, I don't remember. Either Bob or Leon named him Goosh.
Yeah, and then in the interview, he did mention, until Ronnie threw me off the plane, people might think, well, yeah, he kicked him off the plane, but Ronnie was literally trying to throw him off the plane while they were in flight, and that's how he got fired. And he bit him. He bit a big hunk of meat out of his stomach, and he showed me the scar. It's one of those things you don't want to bring it up unless he does, and then once he does, you can talk to him about it, but he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to talk about it on a camera. So
I don't know. I don't know if I kind of question whether Ronnie was seriously going to throw him off the plane. I think he knew that we were all there or it would stop him. But, I don't think if we wouldn't have stopped him, he'd opened the door and threw him out.
Well, wasn't it a commercial flight or something? It was a pressurized plane?
No, it was our private plane. Yeah.
Oh, what kind of plane was it? You remember?
It was that.
The first.
I don't
Convair?
remember if it was the first plane we had, the turboprop, or if it was the second plane, the older plane. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was the older plane, the second plane. We had that plane for a while. It wasn't like we just got that plane. We had that plane for a couple of tours.
You talking about the one that crashed?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That was the plane that he tried to throw him off?
I'm pretty sure that was the same plane.
And so he landed and kicked him off. You guys landed and what did he say? Land this plane and get that bastard off of here.
We had two planes. There was a turbo that L&J Leasing. They had two planes, and we had the real nice plane. And Aerosmith wanted a plane, and the only plane they had was that other plane. that the older plane, and somehow they talked the management into giving him a good deal on that older plane, and so they could get the newer plane and give it to somebody else wanted that plane. I don't know if it was Aerosmith. I might
not to change the subject, but speaking of Aerosmith, I got to show you something, Craig, that I just happen to have loaded in my files here. Let me see if I check this out. Guess whose foot that is?
Oh, that's Steve Tyler's, ain't it?
Yeah, that's Steven Tyler's feet. Can you see the feet on
yeah,
that?
he's
son?
got some ugly feet. Yeah.
It's like, damn, man, but you know how he got them from wearing the wrong shoes while he's on stage running around,
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Look, he's got his nails all painted blue. I mean, you can't do anything with those feet to make them look any better. I'm sorry, man. But that's some crazy shit right there now.
Yeah, he's got some ugly feet.
Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, back to the comments and questions. Yeah, Joe Barnes, he's quite the character. Then we got
Joe did that's what Jimmy Johnson was talking about. The Who tour was what broke Lynyrd Skynyrd into the big time when they did that Who
tour. In that interview
that's
I was talking about
into the big time. And when they did that Who tour, it was just Joe Barnes and Kevin Elson. They were the only two roadies that did that Who tour, and that was that's a big tour to go on to have two roadies,
Yeah, you ain't kidding. Because back then it was the Who, the Rolling Stones, and those were the two top acts right there. And if you're on tour with the Who, then you got something going on.
I mean, a normal band. God, these days the normal band, you at least have a drum roadie, a guitar roadie, and probably a couple of other roadies, and then a house engineer. All Skynyrd had was a guy to stand on stage and watch the band was Joe, and then Kevin went out front and mixed. There was two roadies. So yeah, doing loadout was
and they met you at the tail end of that, right?
Right, yeah, right as they came off that Who tour, that's when I ran into them, and they did need somebody.
Yeah, oh, definitely, and especially somebody who could get them drugs.
And they couldn't pay much. I made $5 a day, and
then you had a credit card they could borrow.
Yeah, I made $5 a day, and that was only when you were on the road.
Can you believe those guys were touring around with the Who and they were broke as hell?
Broke, yeah.
Yeah, they couldn't.
Yeah,
even
that's
buy
before they had Peter Rudge as a manager. They didn't have shit, man.
Yeah, But in the end, some of them made out. Alan and Gary and Ed, pretty much. I guess Leon was getting some pretty good checks. What about Billy? Was he getting some checks, Craig?
He made good checks? He did. Yeah, Billy did okay.
Did he not pay his taxes? I heard something about he didn't pay his taxes.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know anything about their tax issues, really.
Yeah, because Gene said he wasn't doing too good when he died. He was in some money problems. I think he was living with his niece in an apartment or something, according to Gene. Gene used to see him walking down the road. You imagine the piano player for Lynyrd Skynyrd walking down the road because he don't have a car. And then Joe Mueller, he looked up that B-17 that you and I were going to go for a ride in that air show, and it crashed in Windsor Locks, Connecticut in 2019. Yeah, it was like the next air show after that air show in Hawaii. They went over to Ohio. They went over to Connecticut, and then I think it killed, I want to say 9 people. But yeah, I'm glad I didn't get on that son of a bitch.
Yeah, we were supposed to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and then go to the air show.
Yeah, and then we were going to ride on that B-17.
But something happened.
John couldn't make it that week. He had to postpone it. He had something going on.
But for some reason, I don't think I could get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that week either. I think.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, either way, well, we would have been okay, I guess, because it didn't crash until it got to Connecticut. But who knows, you know?
Yeah.
We might have hexed it. We might have hexed the damn thing. Or we could have said we flew on it right before it crashed. But that thing, it destroyed it. It's no longer around. That was a major crash.
I used to say, I've been in one plane crash. What's my chances of being in 2? And then Steve Lawler's been in like 3.
Oh, yeah. You fly a lot. It's possible. It's no different than being in a car. Oh, Dave the Disciple. I love the Joe Barnes interview. What a nice guy. Yeah, a lot of people commenting on that. Oh, you know, we were talking about checking your prostate and the doctor checking your prostate. Kimmy says, no one is going to ass finger her. Well, Kimmy, I don't think you have a prostate, you know, unless, I don't know, maybe, what was that show that, I'm trying to remember. It was like one of these shows that they had all these people on there, and they were trying to prove who the baby daddy was. Jerry Springer was one of them. And these guys were like dating these girls, and they found out a year later they're not really women, they're men. I'm like, well, how the hell did you not know? You know, you remember that Jerry Springer?
Oh yeah. Matter of fact, I get Springer on regular air TV up here. It's on like all day long or something like that. Yeah, I turn it on every now and then. Yeah, it's some of them guys, they come out there and those guys don't know that they've been dating a man.
Yeah, how is that even possible? It's got to be bullshit.
For like 6 weeks, they've been going out with a woman they don't know it's a man. And you can look right, I goes, well, that's a man as soon as you look at it. And this guy has no clue.
Well, Kimmy might have prostate. She might be a man, and her husband, and they've been married forever. So. I'm just funning with you there, Kimmy. Don't get mad at me. So she's got a pretty thick skin, I have to say. Let's see. Jimmy says he was laughing his ass off when we were talking about Craig's asshole. I think it was started with the Plastidils. Somebody said that they used the Plastidils as suppositories for cancer patients.
Oh, yeah. That's what it was.
That's how it got started, yeah. And Brian Gibbons says he can't wait for the Jimmy Johnson interview. For anyone that doesn't know that story, it's a great story. And that's the end of the comments, and we can go into that.
Yeah, Brian called me yesterday. he had a hernia surgery, and I commented that I had that a long time ago, and we're talking about that. But yeah,
is he healing up all right?
Yeah. He had to do the knife too. Wherever they were going to go to do the laser. The laser is a little. It's not supposed to hurt as bad, I guess, because it doesn't tear you. I guess the laser is a smoother cut or whatever. But when they cut you in those muscles down there, man, it's gonna hurt. You know?
Yeah.
they cut into those muscles down there where those hernias are, and that's
Especially, where you're bending and stuff, that's you
yeah,
had to take it easy for a while.
yeah. You can't lift anything over 5 pounds for a couple weeks or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it. But Brian, man, he's been through, damn,
Oh my
how many
God.
surgeries has that guy had?
Hey, man, he's had it's
Been through
always
hell.
something. His neck and
His
yeah.
hips and neck and back and groin and oh, damn, man. Damn, Brian, what's next, man? You done, buddy?
he he told me, he said, I wouldn't tell most anybody this, Craig, but man, I turned black, not just black and blue, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
I don't
vasectomy.
remember that. I don't remember really turning black and blue or nothing. I just had a small one. Mine was only the size of like a marble. It was, no.
Yeah, when I got that vasectomy, I was like scared about that, and that whole hernia thing. I know that wouldn't be fun. But we'll go ahead and jump into a little bit of a preliminary on this Muscle Shoals, just to set it up for you. So what you're watching, it was between 1970 and 1972. Alan and Gary and Ronnie, Billy, Bob Burns, and Ricky Medlock went up to Muscle Shoals, where they recorded 17 songs. And these songs eventually would end up on the Lynyrd Skynyrd First and Last and the Lynyrd Skynyrd Complete album. Um, uh, After the recording, when Ronnie brought Ed in, he took Ed down there and they did some overdubs, especially actually on every song. Because Ronnie told Jimmy Johnson, said, I want to put Ed on every song, and that's when Jimmy said, "Man, this guy's like the best guitar player I've ever heard." He really complimented him. Uh, and then what happened was uh, he tried to go around and promote the band and see if he could get some labels, and he couldn't get anybody because they said they didn't like him. The songs were too long, and so what he did was he handed it to his engineer, and his engineer rolled the tape up. And when you store that tape, you have to roll it up so it's basically backwards. So the magnetic part isn't exposed to the other side of the film. So when they did that and he gave it to Ronnie and Ronnie listened to it, it sounded like shit because it was playing upside down, basically. You could still hear it. It picked up the magnet, but it sounded like shit. And that's when Ronnie called up Jimmy Johnson and said, "Hey, man," he said, that sucked. Your recording work sucks. And they got in a big argument, right? Well, then, so Ronnie met Al Cooper, and then they got together there at that Studio One, and they were going to record again, and do it right, and I guess that's when Ronnie broke that tape out to let him hear it, and their engineer over there, which he's in that interview, they talk about that, and
Rodney Mills. Yeah, Rodney Mills.
Rodney Mill, he flipped it,
Right.
and
Rodney
then they
Mills.
and then
That's the
and
one
then,
Kevin works with Rodney Mills still up there. At the
oh
studio.
yeah, oh okay. Yeah, and so then they were able to hear the tape the way it was really recorded, and that's when Ronnie called him up, Jimmy Johnson up, and said, "Hey man, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that that's they stored it that way, and I was listening to it backwards, and I apologize for that." And so, but then they, all those hits came out, and Jimmy Johnson had rights to those songs, and he was like, "Hey man, I spent a lot of money, it's like his own money to promote the band," and so he flew up to Al Cooper's office up there, and And,
No, it was Peter Rudge, wasn't it?
Was it Peter Rudge and Al Cooper, I believe they were both there, and said, hey, you guys going to have to, he actually said he could have sued them and shut them down.
Yeah, he could have shut them down. Yeah, he said, I couldn't do that to them boys. They're good boys. He
actually held their fate in his hands. He
did. He could have ruined them.
Yeah, he could have ruined them. And he had
Jimmy Johnson, by the way. Jimmy Johnson. That's Jay Johnson. That's his son. Jay Johnson. That Jay Johnson's in
Skinny Molly.
Skinny Molly. Yeah,
with
Mike Estes.
Mike Estes. Yeah, and we were supposed to get Jay Johnson on the podcast.
Yeah, he's working on his real estate license, so he said he'd let me know when he's freed up.
Cool. So anyway, that's what you're going to hear. He tells this whole story. Now, at the beginning of the interview, what's going on is Brian, it was their 40th anniversary of Muscle Shoals. And he happens to know the guy who bought Muscle Shoals and got it on the historical register. And they were there doing a 40th reunion, and that's when Jimmy Johnson came walking in, and he was setting the camera up at the time, and he wasn't quite ready for it. And so he got a lot of it at the beginning without Jimmy being on. You couldn't see his face. You could just hear him talk. But as you watch it, it starts getting better. You have to listen real close at the beginning of it. But you guys looking for some great skin information and a great interview and just, a conversation between a couple guys that wasn't like a professional type interview. Is just a conversation. It's really great. So I think you're going to enjoy it. So we'll go ahead and set that up, Craig. We'll go ahead and that's like another 34 minutes, and we already been
34 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, so happy Monday and happy trails.
It's been another Stoned Roadie podcast, and see you later, alligator. Happy trail. See you later, alligator. After a while, crocodile. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. And keep toking until then. And we'll call that a wrap. Cut.
How that could be on him or not. But he I know. And to me, he didn't want nothing to do with Skynyrd. And I don't know him. And Alan has never known him.
Now, who had the Studio One up there?
That was owned by Bill Lowry.
I knew they had recorded up there. When they came here.
See, they did, I think they did Sweet Home Alabama.
Okay.
They did that after they left here. Because they called me. And you see, we had a little problem with leasing the 17 sides that I had. Did you ever hear that?
Yeah, I heard that the tape got spun.
No, not that.
Oh.
That was a mistake that Alan Walden did to the tape on the reel. He flipped it over, and it was playing from the back side. It don't sound too good from the back side.
And how long did it take you to figure that out?
Over a year.
So
maybe a year and a half. And because they were working with Al Cooper. And Al said, let me hear a certain song they were working on. He said, let me hear the cut that was done on most shows on this. So they took out that reel, put it on there, and it was playing on the back side of the tape. And it was awful. And he said, hold it, the engineer. You remember the engineer, Mills, Rodney Mills?
Yeah.
He said, hold it. He just flipped it then like that and hit it. Said the speakers almost came off the wall. It was up so loud. And Ronnie Van said, oh my God. Because he had called me and cussed me out that I had sabotaged their record. And he asked me to forgive him. And I listened and I said, he was, I could tell he was stone serious. He meant it. And it's hard when you go to sleep for almost 2 years thinking, he was hating my guts and I wasn't too happy about him.
Right.
And so then when he found out that I was 1,000% vindicated in that one play, he like, oh my God. And then he called me though, and he was crying. I said, it's done. You're forgiven. And then you know what he did? Right at that point, he asked me to take one of my cuts of my 17 to put on that last album.
So it was right when they were releasing it. Because I remember
they were just cut, and they stuck one more time in there. Think about it, that title. How ironic that is.
All right. He's a great dude, man.
With the crash, One more time.
Right. Well,
It'll put chills on me. And that was a great cut on that.
Oh, I didn't even know that it was done anywhere.
That was mine. Well, they asked me to send the master, which was on 16 tracks, and I sent the master, so they wanted to remix it to sound like their stuff. And Rodney, threw a great mix on it. And but that guy changed everything. And then the next year we were working on my album as a retrospective release album. And they came back in and started overdubbing the girls. They even brought Wayne Perkins up from Birmingham. He did some solos. I played on it. We put strings on some things, horns on some things. And we re-sang some of the cuts. It was about a 2-week, pilgrimage to do that. And while it's right when he left, he got me off to the side. They had just brought in Ed King. And he said, I'd like to put Ed King on all these cuts. So he and I went down to the studio. I didn't have no time. No, we were booked solid. And so I took him down our studio on 2nd Street, where When a Man Loves a Woman was cut. We had redid that run. We named it the address, same as 3614. It was called 104 East 2nd. That was the name. That was the sign on the front. That's how we named our studio back then.
Okay.
And so he and I locked in for 2 solid days, 24-hour shots. And he still tells me, I see him pretty often. And he still tells me that was most inspiring time he's ever had in the studio. Yeah, he's the guy that did that old time rock. Sweet Home Alabama intro.
Yeah.
That was him. And the solo.
I knew.
They never had a guitar player better than him. he was with the Strawberry Alarm Clock.
Yeah, I remember he was with Strawberry Alarm Clock. Because I remember, man, after the Beatles, I was just like, I found Skynyrd. I tell you, I remember the first time I heard Skynyrd, I was in Huntsville, I was in the Boy Scouts, not Boy Scouts, it was the Cub Scouts. We were at the Pizza Hut. They took us all there, and they had just put it on the jukebox, and somebody said, this band's from Alabama. And I was like, really? But I didn't know what the connection
What was the cuts at that
It was
time?
Sweet Home Alabama is what was on the jukebox. But
You know, that's
it was popular.
considered as one of the most #1 rock and roll songs ever. You know, I mean, everybody in the world goes crazy over that song. And if you want to fill the dance floor up,
I did one of Australia back in 2006. Met this couple. And he said his favorite band was Lynyrd Skynyrd. He wanted to know about the Swampers and stuff. And I started telling him about it. I said, man, come to Alabama, huh? First night in the studio. You got a band? Australia? I said, yeah. This is all the way in Australia. So he came here.
I was down there.
He came here. I took him out here. He was just, his wife was just,
That's great.
well, when them guys came in here, a lot of the people you worked with were already, like Aretha Franklin, and they were already, had been recording other places, but when Skynyrd came in, they were new, right?
You know how they come up with the name Swampers, though.
How'd they do that?
And right here.
Hey, you mind if I videotape some of this?
No.
While I'm talking to you?
This was the entrance, you know, and this was our office right here. That was the rhythm section's office here. Well, right around all the walls here, everywhere, you could find a spot that was a gold record. And we had just put up 2 new ones that Shelter Records had sent us, and that was Leon Russell. Shelter Records was a company out of L.A., you know, and the guy's name was Denny Cordell. He was Irish, from Ireland, and he sent us the 2 gold. He was president of the label, and he sent these 2 gold albums that Leon had recorded here, and he had thought of the idea of Swampers, and so he dedicated the album to the Swampers. And so that's what was on the wall, and that was only 2 albums that were different from the Mushrooms Rhythm section. These 2 were to the Swamper, and I mean they zeroed in on it, and they liked that name for us, you know. And so I think in a way they were trying to change the name. That never happened, but that's the reason why so many people wondered who the hell that is. You know, it didn't take off. But to them it did.
Yeah.
And so they put it on that, what, 4th verse of that song. And I remember they called me when they did it. And they said, Uncle Jimmy. They had everybody on the phone somehow. And they said, hey man, we just wrote a song about y'all. And I'm like, well, shit, well, you know, that's great, you know, and I hadn't heard it or nothing, you know. And they said, it's really good, man. They said, you know, all this. But if I had known how good that song was, I'd have went through the phone and hugged every damn one of them, you know.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, it killed me when I heard it. But, see, there was something else.
Well, you know, there was Ronnie just seemed like he had some kind of aurora about him, like Elvis. I mean,
Well, as
and
a
I
writer,
can't explain
this
it. I
guy-
mean, Johnny Van Zant and Donnie, and you know, nobody has that. It's only one person in a million that comes along that has.
That's right. I mean, this guy was so prolific as a writer of lyric and melody that I don't even have words. Do you?
No,
I mean,
because
Crank them out.
I mean,
I
John
mean-
Lennon used to. Everything Lennon did, man, had
Yep.
this catchy sound.
Lennon and McCartney were incredible, but my favorite Beatles song wasn't by them.
What's your favorite Beatles song?
2 syllables, 1 word. Something.
Something. George Harrison?
Something in the way.
That's the only one Frank Sinatra ever did by the Beatles.
I'm going to tell you what. That is one of the greatest songs I've ever heard in my life.
That is a magical song. You're absolutely
telling
right.
And I know how great the Beatles are. I mean, I'm a big fan. But I tell you what, they shorted themselves by not including George in on all their writing.
Right.
I mean, is that not proof?
Oh, absolutely right.
Yeah. Because I think
Absolutely
when
right.
See, now you've got to remember that when I did Skynyrd, they would ask me along the way. Took me 2 years to do 17 sides of them. You wonder why, right? We didn't have any time available.
Yeah, for
You
your
know?
own
And
stuff.
the only time we could cut them was on maybe a 24-hour shift, catch it at midnight and cut till about 8 or 9 in the morning. And I could only do that when I could sleep all day after that.
now where would
And,
these guys sleep at when they came here?
They stayed at Blues Truck Stop little motel. And they got their ass beat a few times by truckers because the truckers didn't like long-haired guys.
Where was Blues Truck Stop
It
located?
was out on 72 between, let's say, you know where a Lowe's is?
Yeah.
Okay, if you're going out like towards Russell, it's on the right before you get to the next traffic light. And it says Blues, like B-A-L-U-E.
I've seen that little
Blues.
restaurant down there.
That's it.
We ate there.
Okay,
Well,
well,
there's a little no-tell, motel type place.
That's it.
Just when you go over the bridge, it's just sitting there.
well, now this though
Now it's
is
all
not
renowned.
close to the bridge, is it? This is,
This one was down by Lowe's.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Right across
like
from
you
Lowe's.
pass Lowe's and it's on your right.
Yeah.
And then you get on down towards Hardee's, you know, you're way past it now.
It's just a little bit over the bridge there on the right.
Okay.
Just a little bit. Hey, how you doing?
You're gonna have to go shoot that a little bit.
The
That's okay, we got to
Yeah, that place.
I'll have to go down there and video it.
And the guy that owned
How are you?
Widget,
Yeah.
right down here.
Right down at the
Ronnie Ballou was his daddy and him owned that little hotel.
The old stories.
they owned
Amazing.
Yeah, they owned
The hotel
that little Blues truck stop there.
so what when them guys came here and you were so busy,
Okay, so I had to just cut them at odd times.
You can't hurt
And
us.
by that time, we built the other studio down here too, which gave me some more time towards the end of the album. And then I could, had more time. And the problem was getting myself free enough to do it. You know, but they, you know what, they never complained. They would come up here and work on just whatever I wanted to work on, and they never said, well, by God, when is this album going? Nobody ever did.
they had I mean back then people didn't have cell phones and what'd you do, call from a home phone? They'd call you and say, hey, can we come record? Or would they drive all the
Yeah,
way
now,
from Jacksonville, or were they
I
touring?
think pretty much around that time, we all had phones in our car. But the whole area was on one line. It was hard to get the
You
line.
guys had phones in your car back
Yeah,
then?
oh yeah. We made enough money back then, we could buy the toys, you know. We all had like, you know, I had Eldorado Cadillac, you know. And, but what happened, by the time I finished the album, then they were going to go pitch it with their manager, Alan Walden. Well, he went on the road with it. Of course, he's the one that flipped the tape on the
Okay.
reel, and nobody knew it till they got back, and Rodney Mills was engineering a session with Al Cooper, and Al Cooper wanted to hear one of our cuts. And when Rodney Mills, he knew when he heard that terrible sound.
He knew exactly what it
He knew
was.
what to do. He said, he stopped the tape, said, hold it, and just flipped it like that, and hit play, and the damn speakers almost wouldn't come out of the wall. And Ronnie went into convulsions because he had cussed me out, threatened my life, everything in the world because he thought I had. I did what I told him when I hung up the damn phone 2 years before. He told me how terrible it was. I said, let me tell you something, motherfucker. I said, if you don't like that fucking tape, you don't like fucking Lynyrd Skynyrd. Bow! And I didn't talk to him for 2 years. And it's really rough, you know, but what happened, he immediately called me and asked for forgiveness. Because it was a bitch. That mix I put on that, have you heard the Skynyrd's last?
Yeah.
And how good he sounds before all that whiskey voice got to him. I mean, his voice, it was unbelievable on that record. And they sounded great, too.
Oh, yeah. We were out there talking about how talented they were to, you know, slide guitar, mandolins, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, where did they get all this
But
talent?
you know what happened, though? Why mine never came out early? Did you ever know?
No.
Now, this is a bitch. What happened was, at that point in time, the record industry singles were no longer than 3.5 minutes. You getting an idea now? Every cut on the album was 5 minutes, up to Freebird was 9 minutes. Or,
Right.
you know what I mean? So the record labels that were interested would call me and say, we'd like that Freebird, but we'd like to cut it down to, we'll extend it up to 3:45 or 50. I said, no way. I said, have you heard the band live? That no. And I said, let me tell you something, buddy. I said, I'm not going to destroy the integrity of this band because of a record company rules or what they do things a certain way. I said, this group is a new deal. And you know what? They just hung up on me. And I was sick. I'd worked 2 years on this damn thing. I knew how good it was. And then the thing that saved me is when Al Cooper signed them and he started cutting them. And what they didn't realize was at that time they didn't have the right to even cut those same songs again. And about 2/3 of the albums were the same songs that they had cut on my album.
Yeah.
Okay? Including Freebird. And so what that meant was they had just opened their stuff up for a multi-million-dollar lawsuit from me. Everybody in the picture, managers, producers, record label, I mean, it was unbelievable. The band, everybody. But I wouldn't do that to them. I had a co-partner that threatened my life because I wouldn't.
Because you wouldn't go with
I
action.
would not destroy that band. I knew, I said, right now, they were so shaky, just getting started and having their first success and stuff. I said, if I went in there right now and sued them, it would annihilate that band. Because they wouldn't have any money for years.
Kind of like Boston. What
Yeah.
happened to them?
And so I said, no. So I went to New York with my attorney, and I paid my own bills and all that, and I met with Anna Myback, who was Skinner's lawyer. And their new manager, what was his name, that took over them?
Wasn't Tom Down.
No.
No, he was
Tom
the
Down.
producer.
On down.
Okay.
Well, anyway, he was an English guy. He had the Who. And they got on the Who
Peter
tour.
Rutledge?
Peter Rudge.
Rudge.
Peter Rudge. So I called and got a meeting with him through my attorney. And I didn't know who Anna Myback and all them were, you know. But he was the new manager. So Anna Myback got me a meeting with him. And so I sat down with him, and he didn't know what was fixing to hit him. I pulled out 17 sides, and his mind was blown because they were in total, open for lawsuits for them recording the next album. Al Cooper didn't even consider that. He should have known better than that, right?
Yeah.
And but he wasn't he didn't care that shit. And so here were these guys who were in this terrible mess. And so I went up there and I got with Peter Rudge. I said, Peter, here's what I want. I don't want to sell this album to any other label, these weird little labels and shit. I said, I want to sell it to the band, and they'll own it. And I don't care if you don't ever fucking put it out. That's what I told him about. I said, I gotta have $25,000 to pay me my studio time, which wasn't even half of what the cost I had in it for my time at my studios working, engineers and all that, you know. And so, I mean, they didn't think but about a few seconds, and they said, you got it. Good. And so I did that. This was for them. That's how much I thought of them. And so when they signed in with Al, and they had you know why they broke, don't you?
Broke what, from Al?
I know why they broke out as a hit, because they were on the Who tour. The Who tour is what made them.
That Quadrophenia or whatever tour.
Whatever that tour was, they went out with the Who's, a worldwide tour. That album did it for them. And then Tom Dowd got involved after that. So it's nothing he did anything. It was the being on that Who tour, and if anybody was responsible for that was Alan Walden, because he got that tour. Well, that's for Rudge.
Okay.
And everybody was trying to turn against Alan Walden to fuck him. And I tell you, if that meant for Alan Walden, you'd never heard of him. Because I wouldn't have ever worked with him. I couldn't have cut all that stuff. Number two, they got the Who tour. And all he wound up with in the end, he's a millionaire from it. He wound up with half the publishing, which is a lot. But he should have been a lot more than that for the role he played. And he got fucked big time. And in a way, I got fucked because my record never came out until '98.
I remember the one came out first and last.
That was mine, and that was that. They came to me after the crash, and they said, "We want to put out those last sides that you did, you know, when I first cut them."
Yeah.
And so they wound up using 11 of the 17. So there were 6 new songs, you know.
Yeah, because it was.
But the whole reason was because the record industry would not sign them, because they wasn't going to have, if they were going to do it their way or no way. And I said, the highway. I said, you ain't getting this band unless you I said, you're not going to destroy the integrity of their songs and what they are. Go and listen to them. I said, you'll agree with me. None of them ever did that.
Now, when they first walked in here, could you just see something in them that you were like, man, these guys
I mean, here's what happened. They came here, and we had no time to cut them. And so Alan says, man, I got to tell y'all, he was telling our production, Must Show Sound Productions, he said, you gotta hear them. And we couldn't even go hear them live. I mean, we needed a demo. And so we called Quinn Ivy studio down here, and they made a deal with Quinn. Quinn was hurting for business, and they said, we need to cut this band. Alan went down and talked to him, and they said, would you take a deal like this? And we need about 3 days. And they were going to cut the songs concert style. No overdubs, just go in and make one pass on it and rock. 2 at the most, and then save the best one. And so, there ain't no way to cut no record, you know, yourself, right?
Right.
I mean, that's not done anywhere. So the deal was, if we signed the act listening to their demo, and we wound up having to pay him $3,000, almost $4,000. But we were willing to do that once we heard, because I was the guy that cut bands of the four of us. And so as soon as he got it cut, I mean, we agreed to do it. And so it was based on Alan's belief. And he wanted me to do it because I'd had a big hit with him and Otis on Arthur Conley. And so we then, they brought it up, played it to us, and man, I went fucking insane over his voice. Here was this deep rock and roll, almost a baritone, I mean singer, right? Singing his ass off. And I love those two twin lead guitar players. See, I'm a guitar player. And twin leads together, I'm a sucker for it. I mean, so here's two of the big things I like, and they got it. And I like their songs, right?
Right.
So I told the guys, I said, I damn sure want to cut these guys. And so we cut a check and carried it down to Quinn. And so all that stuff that was cut down there, just that one pass, became our property. You know, which wound up being a big fundraiser for me later.
And then they brought Ed King in.
Well, Ed King was just he didn't play on the Skynyrd stuff. All he played on was I'm sorry.
I mean, did they bring him in?
You're right. No, I'm thinking totally wrong. Yeah.
They brought him in.
Well, what happened?
They were up here recording.
They came up here to embellish what we had for a retrospect album. And that's when they asked me for that song, One More Time. And I was thrilled. I said, you got it. And it went on that album, and I made some good money on that. And but when they were here that summer, working on the overdubs for 2 weeks, as soon as right when Ronnie was leaving, he said, I want you to meet a guy here. I never met Ed King in my life. He said, he's starting playing with us now. He said, I want you, if you would, I want you to put Ed on every one of these cuts, 17 of them. And I did it in 2 24-hour shots.
That's unbelievable.
And but you ought to hear some of the shit he did. He played bass on some of them. He started out as their bass player. And but some of the stuff he did was so unreally real. It was so good. And to this day, he tells me it's the greatest inspiration of playing he's ever had in his life. And I can say the same thing. Nobody ever let him go and do stuff he wanted to do on the record before. And hell, you know, my orders were to put him on every song. And so my goal was to do that. And so when I realized how good the guy was, it blew my mind. You know.
Did you do any work with Steve Gaines at all? Or?
Only, let's see, I wound up, no I didn't. But I realized how good he was. He was great. But I don't think he ever, of course, his showmanship was much better than Ed's. Ed was just kind of a sit there and just cook. But as far as playing, they ain't never had nobody like him. I mean, all you gotta do is go back and listen to my album, and you'll hear some of the best shit.
Man, I listened to that thing over. I remember when it first came out, and I thought,
you remember you'd hear that bass being stereo and shit?
Yeah.
And it was like, come out. It was almost like phasing or something, you know?
Well, I remember when it first came out, and I thought, oh, why are they putting it? I thought it was just, I think I was in 8th grade or something. And it said Lynyrd Skynyrd first and last, and I thought, I wonder what this is. And I thought, man, the original. And I didn't realize there was some original tracks left over.
That?
Was that Ricky Medlock?
11 cuts, and the other 6 was Bob.
Oh, Bob did? Okay.
Bob played on the next 6. So I got a good taste of a lot of things.
Now, I never figured, why did Bob leave the band?
You really want to know? He thought he became the devil.
Okay.
He thought he became Satan. And he was freaking everybody out in the band. Ronnie had to cut him loose. Well, you know, he then went and got into a church and stuff. And after he did that, and by the time I used him on my cuts, which was things like, what were some of them that he played on? Do you remember?
He played on, like, let's see.
Simple Man, he played on. Remember that?
Yeah.
It's killer. I mean, he played great. I like Ricky, what he did. I really love what Ricky did.
Well, I remember reading an article about the song Am I Losing? And it was, and somewhere Ronnie had stated that it was written about Bob, that I think Bob had some resentment. He was their friend growing up and started the band with him, and then I didn't know what the deal was on why he left the band, but Ronnie was trying to tell him.
He got mixed up and then
Ronnie was
started talking crazy, and
we can walk out here. That was Clay. We just did a record with them down here.